headline in Indiana politics and government, and that means you out there in listener land. 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. Casey, did you see what our old overachievers down the street from us at the General Assembly are up to now?
I did see that. They apparently are not a fan of artificial intelligence.
So you've got the totally out of control property taxes. You got gas taxes that are crippling people. You got $1 billion screw up with Medicaid. You got the LEAP thing that's a total disaster.
You got third graders who can't read.
Yeah, people are just up in arms over all sorts of things.
Multiple gas taxes.
Are they fixing any of that stuff? No. The big time winners down there at 200 West Washington Street, they're focusing on making sure you can't meme them with artificial intelligence.
That's right. You'd be in big trouble because you've done this, Rob Kendall.
Yes, this is crazy because remember last year when we did my wife actually did and we presented them at a night with WIBC and they were a huge hit where she took, and I have no idea how the AI stuff works, but she's a computer whiz. And so she took people we've given nicknames to on this program, whether it's Duke of Spendingburg, Rod and Todd the Flanders Boys, High Tax Holcomb, and she created clearly funny, made in humor, artificial intelligence based on the descriptions that we give them on this show.
Yeah, and she took all those keywords, plugged it into AI, and it popped out a meme or a picture of them.
Well, now, Casey, the lords and lordesses at the Indiana General Assembly have said, we can't have anyone having any fun at our expense in the House of Representatives on a unanimous vote. So now it is bipartisan in terms of the complete lack of fun and frivolity that you're allowed to have as a human being. Passed a bill Thursday, which they describe as aiming to add protections for political-based ads and communications. WLFI has the full story. And it defines fabricated media as pieces that were inaccurately altered without the consent of the candidate or that were created using artificial intelligence. So that means, I guess, the little fun we had where we created the artificial intelligence of Spendingburg and High Tax Holcomb, we may now have committed, if this passes the Senate, a felonious act of some sort.
It's a good thing you did that before House Bill 1133 was passed. But I'm not sure if this counts because your wife made the pictures, right?
Yeah.
But you weren't using them as attack ads against opponent.
But I was about to.
Or were you?
Well, I was.
I don't know. We got to figure it out.
Yeah, let's go to the WIBC hotline. Our old friend Chris Bilbrey, he has a very fabulous podcast. You can find it on YouTube. It's called The Political Spotlight. He joins us now. Okay, Bilbrey, you're a memer. You're an artificial intelligence guy. It's they just don't like us, and the General Assembly's taking it out on anyone who has any fun at their expense. What say you?
Oh yeah, this is really gross. This just continues in the General Assembly's session this year, where they're doing what they can to protect themselves and insulate them from the regular humans out here in Indiana, and it's just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, so as we were talking about, this thing is, and they do this all the time at the General Assembly, where they write these things, Casey, where they're so vague that you have no idea what is crime, what is good humor, and it basically, Bilbrey, and you can speak to this, they make it so that if they don't like you, they can come at you. If they do like you, they can go, look at that person, that's funny.
Yeah, and that is absolutely true. The other issue here, and the biggest issue, you mentioned this, is it's not talking about AI across the board, because let's face it, I'm kind of scared of this whole AI thing and where we might be going. But this bill, 1133, there's also a bill in the Senate Bill 7, and they almost mirror each other. They are not talking about Hoosiers across the board. They specifically say candidates. Then there's an amendment in the bill that says it also relates to any political figure once elected. It's basically all year round. You cannot do this to a public official. And if you do it and they take you to court, it gets special treatment in the court. But that's not all. They have put this in as an emergency because they want this to be in effect before the election season this year.
Right.
Okay, so real quick, I know Casey wants to hop in here, but that's important because normally, Casey, when a bill's passed, July 1st is the start date. Like they don't start it right away. They give implementation time, government agencies. You're saying, Bilbrey, that they said, no, upon passing, so undesirables in the primary can't have any fun at our expense.
Absolutely.
All right, Chris Bilbrey from Political Spotlight is joining us. So this bill says that it includes audio, images, video, texts, and mailers. And this is the question in which a reasonable person could not recognize that it was AI generated. Who is to determine what a reasonable person can and cannot recognize? They're actually making a law that says you must have common sense.
Yeah. Well, I generally would like that, and I agree that we need to have common sense, and I would like if our elected officials, specifically at the State House, would have common sense. The problem is, I don't trust any of them to really know what a reasonable human is, because I've not found any reasonable humans out of the nearly 150 of the State House and State Senate officials.
Chris Bilbrey, our guest. Political Spotlight is his podcast. You can find him on YouTube. We're talking about this House Bill 1133, which basically says if you have any fun at a politician's expense using artificial intelligence, they can now throw the book at you, and you'll end up potentially like Ernest T. Bass and spend the weekend in the county lockup. Okay, so this passed the House unanimously. It goes to the Senate. You think the Senate's going to take this up? I mean, are we facing the fact that by March I could be in big trouble here, Bilbrey?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that that's going to happen. I really see nobody fighting this, and it's going to be a lot quicker than March, honestly, is what my fear is. And, people need to understand, think about all of the mailers that go out where they kind of put people next to each other, and anyone that, like, I create thumbnails for all of our videos. We put out videos 5 nights a week, and each night I put up these thumbnails. Now, I'm not putting anyone in, I'm not doing anything vulgar or doing anything crazy. I imagine there probably people are, and there are laws already in place to stop people from, doing wildly slanderous things. But, this is just really scary because, like I said, who gets to decide what too far is? I guarantee you there are elected officials that don't like some of the things that I've already done. And now what we have to do is we have to put, in order to be in compliance with the law, some kind of disclaimer on these things that says, hey, this is political satire. Apparently, if you're not intelligent enough to know, this is satire. I promise you, if they make me put a disclaimer on my material, they're not going to like the disclaimer I put on.
You must disclose this is a joke. So, Chris, Representative Julie Olthoff of Crown Point said that the downside with the AI is that people can't decipher what is real and what is fabricated. So this sounds like they're trying to curtail deep fakes, but in reality, it's almost a way of regulating what goes on the internet and everywhere else, and also regulate free speech.
Yep, absolutely. And they're doing a lot of that at the State House this year. It's not just with this bill. There are several others that they're trying to regulate free speech. And it is a concern, specifically regulate free speech when it applies to them as elected officials or candidates. And that's my problem.
Yeah. So real quick, let's touch on that before I let you go. Chris Bilbrey from the Political Spotlight is our guest. Originally, we were going to have him on to talk about this, but then this artificial intelligence thing popped up. So you're as Hammer would describe it, your euchre buddy, your longtime arch nemesis, J.D. Prescott. He's a state representative. He's actually your state representative up there in Delaware County is he's at it again. I think they've run this through the House, haven't they, Bilbrey? It's already passed this bill on decorum at public meetings. Tell us what's going on with that.
Well, it's House Bill 1338, and again, they're attempting to insulate themselves from the regular citizens they are, I guess, in a way, trying to make themselves a special class by, again, saying, you can't say these things. You can't redress your government. I heard you say long ago, Rob, when you were elected, you would let the people come up and say whatever they wanted to say to you in their time limit, the 1 or 2 times a month. And I've always respected that about you. But these elected officials across the board, now this is not just state government, this is local officials as well. They are afraid of being redressed by the 10 or 15 people that show up a month. And they are now crying, and they want to be able to put new laws in place of all, we already have laws in place. If you cross the line and break the law, the police can already handle that. Now we want to make untrained elected officials like the feelings police. And if their feelings are hurt in meetings, they now get to possibly trespass you and make you quite possibly a felon or at least charge you with a misdemeanor because you are redressing your government in a way that they don't like.
That's why I like Bilbrey, because he understands all that I gave to the people, Casey, when I was an elected official.
Yes.
But he's right. I mean,
Yeah.
Chris, you're right. People said horrific, awful things about me, and I would just sit there because there's nothing more. The best get back is for someone to be physically shaking in anger at a podium and you just sit there and smile at them. And they can't do it, Chris. They can't do it. They can't handle it.
No, that is very true. It's a weaker mind and a weaker constitution of people, I think, in the last several years, and it's just getting worse.
All right, Chris Bilbrey, the Political Spotlight. You can find him on YouTube. We appreciate you, man. Keep us up to date on this. We'll have you back soon when the ACLU sues these guys, because this thing is going to 100% head to court.
All right.
Thanks, Chris. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.